here I am, the final interview of the day. And I'm a little, I need a little stimulation. I need to do some jumping jacks. And who is here with me but a fitness guru who happened to put his energy to a great cause, or many great causes. We're with Oded Rahav, who is an entrepreneur who has founded and managed and led many kinds of businesses. But guess what he does? He uses his connections, his capabilities, and his enthusiasm to take care of the planet and bring other people into the cause. Am I right?
You're right.
Okay, Oded. I want to ask you, first off, what is a life lesson that motivates your work?
Wow.
What got you to do this?
The fact that I understand that I'm just part of this thing that is called life, that I have my ancestors that I owe them, and I have my kids that I owe them, and I'm somewhere in the middle, and I have this duty to hand the baton and make it like as best as I can. That's like this kind of a understanding that we have a duty, and that's what's keep me going.
Well, we should tell our listeners, I'm in awe because I've done the homework as much as I could to see what you've done with your energy. And the name of your group is Dead Sea Guardians.
Right.
Now, I visited the Dead Sea. My colleague Darlene, who's in the room, we both floated there, my husband and I. I was overwhelmed, and I saw that it was shrinking a little bit, but I also saw that it had a lot of power. What does the Dead Sea have to do with your work?
Well, we swam across the Dead Sea in order to save it. That was like a long time ago, 6 years ago, right?
6 years ago.
Yeah. And I've noticed that it's declining in such an alarming rate. And since I like going there from the moment I remember myself, because there's something very soothing when you go to the Dead Sea, it's like going to Mars. Okay? It's like, it's not here. It's like a very serene, beautiful place out of this world.
Yep.
And when you're there, you actually see the whole history, geology. You see everything. It's all there. It was all like created there. But now it's like, deserted. It's losing so much water and in a very fast, way. And I thought to myself, okay, so what do we do with it? How do I grab? It's like, like you have a kid and the blanket is falling off him and you want to put back the blanket. That's the sensation I feel all the time. It's like I'm trying to pull that blanket and bring it back to the shores, and that's a life mission. And
well, you really have gotten wonderful media coverage. There was a film that documented your efforts. And I loved an article I read. It said an Israeli, a Palestinian, and a Jordanian walk into the Dead Sea.
Like a joke.
They joined your swim.
Yeah,
Did you start in Jordan or did you start in
on the Jordanian shores? Yeah. So what we did is we took boats. First of all, it took us 18 months to create this mission. Okay. And at first, nobody understood what the hell am I talking about and why should I swim the Dead Sea and why from the Jordanian side and what the heck is this? What's wrong with you? And because up until that moment, moving from that side to this side was either you move bodies of soldiers or you take landmines or you something to do with security issues.
Or you could be like me, leaving the Wadi Rum Desert, which we camped in our trip, and
floating to some...
We walked across the border. I could see the sea, and I was so afraid. I was like, I'm going to get in trouble? Is everything legal? What's my passport going to be?
Exactly.
High nerves.
Exactly.
You were like, oh my God. But a swim is a different thing.
A whole different thing. And when I said, listen, my understanding is everyone that I see has a Speedo underneath him, right? This is how I see people. I know everyone has a swimsuit and he just wants to find some pond or swim. This is my perception of people. And when I reached these people in the Jordanian side, I said, listen, we just want to swim from one side to to the other, it took 18 months to arrange it. Because in this region, you have to reach high level, personnel to explain them how on earth would you cross that stretch of water with no passports. By the way, all my swims were without passports because that's part of the manifestation. Okay, so water have no borders. So when I swam from Cyprus and other places, it was without passports. And so to arrange it from a sport perspective was something really odd to this region, okay, to this interesting neighborhood.
Now, it took you 7 hours. I literally was in there for half an hour and I kept bobbing the wrong way. And I was so afraid of getting it in my eye, my nose. I thought my hair's going to fall out. What's going to happen? And anytime I tried to roll over, I would roll. How did you keep swimming?
Oh, that's a good question. The highest percentage of drowning is in the Dead Sea because of that reason. Yeah, all over the world. Because what happens is there's so many tourists coming in and they do the same thing. They roll over and they just try to roll back and then they roll and they just swallow a little bit and then they faint and so on and so forth.
Oh my goodness.
This is what happens. I actually saved 3 people while I was at the Dead Sea and they panic. Okay, so you basically drown, first of all, out of panic and you swallow. Now, the Dead Sea has 36% salinity, okay? It's extremely salty. Try it at home. And when you swallow just a tiny bit, like you have this spasm, okay? So you get choked. And so what we did is we got acquainted with the water. We understood how, okay, it doesn't matter where you are, okay? When you're in the water, you have to come with some kind of a relationship. You have, first of all, to talk to the water. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to swim with you and,
help me.
Yeah, well, it'll be fun. And I trust you. You have to trust yourself and the water. He's hosting you. Okay, it's a being. Okay, water is a being for me. And then you thank it, and then you talk to it, and then you come into the water with a lot of compassion and respect. And then you just don't force yourself. You just lie there. And you come to this understanding that we become one. And then you float, and then you turn, and then you swim. You get acquainted. It's a relationship, okay? You don't jump into bed. You just build trust.
Get to know each other.
Get to know each other.
So could you actually do like the crawl?
Of course.
You could?
You do. Yeah, okay. So here's the thing. The actual crawl is just when you have a full face mask. This is how we did the swim. We had a full face mask. It's not easy. Because it's not suffocation, but it's different. It's like you breathe out of a snorkel. So you have to get used to it. But yeah, that was basically you swim freestyle. You swim crawl. So once you get used to the mask, then you train with it, and then you start swimming 100 meters, and then a kilometer, and so forth, in 2 hours and 3 hours. And then you understand that the salts get into you in all kinds of places. And it dries on your back, so completely completely white, and then it cuts you, and then but you wash it. You are in relationship with the water, basically.
So, how many of you did that swim in 2016?
We were 28 swimmers.
What?
From 9 different countries. I managed to get in touch with very interesting people whom I knew nothing about beforehand. And I wanted these interesting, powerful world record swimmers to join the swim and to become ambassadors. But when they came here, I told them one day before the swim something interesting. I told them, this swim is not about you.
Good.
We're like this giant whale that on its back, there's this message. Okay, so this swim is about saving a sea. And you can hear the needle in the room because all of a sudden they understood their mission. Okay, so for many of them, it was a life-changing event. Because they were all like, yeah, we're into the swim. This is something that, bah, 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 bah. But then you have to be very humble. So when you walk into the water and they all of a sudden understood, it's salty. Because I told him, yeah, it's salty. Just practice with the mask. But be aware it's salty. But then a day before that swim, they understood some of them have never been here to Israel. And all of a sudden they understood, it is salty. And this thing is of a man on a quest or of a mission of saving a sea, all of a sudden framed this whole swim, a whole event of like a boat, like a vessel on this majestic sea with this flag saying, hey, save me. I'm counting on you. We talked about the relationship. I talk to the Dead Sea. We have a conversation. When I go away from the Dead Sea, I go there every 2 weeks.
Oh.
I apologize. I say, listen, I have to go home, my kids and stuff, but I'll be back. So this is my relationship.
So what can you point to? Can you point to 3 things that happened to improve the situation from the attention you got from that swim?
Yeah, so first of all, 6 years from now, I'm in retrospective, I think we could have done more. I had a feeling that someone out there will understand that you have to fix it. When I say someone, I'm talking about governmental or private sector, but literally no one really came in and took the baton. That's when I decided this year that I'll do so. And I think we've achieved much attention just in the last, honestly, 6 months. There's so many people, there's so many articles, there's so much going on, there's so much buzz. People understand, the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea. In Israel, you have every week or every 10 days something about the Dead Sea.
Good.
All of a sudden, people understand that we, people, did these, we neglected it. And so now how can we contribute? How we bring back? What do you want from us? How can we? So people are aware about it. Schools are talking about it. We had an agreement now with the Weizmann Institute. The Davidson Institute, that they will do the whole year. The curriculum is about the Dead Sea. They agreed. They watched the movie. They heard me talking. I said, listen, how can we do something? I said, spread the word.
Educate.
Educate.
It was so funny. I was by the ocean where I live in Los Angeles, and I don't know why my friend's like, oh, this is an Israeli man. So I told him, we're leaving, we're going to go visit. And he pulls out from his phone a time-lapse video of the Dead Sea through sunlight, moonlight. It was so beautiful. And I was like, well, I'm so glad I'm going to go see that. But raising awareness, what I really respect about you too, Oded, is that you don't just work in the Middle East. I read that in 2017, you swam with 11 others from Imperial Beach, California, which I know where that is. It's the southernmost city in California, closer to Mexico. And you swam to Tijuana. And that goal was to bring attention to the plight of migrants crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. What did you learn from that experience?
Wow. Okay, so on this one, I hope I won't cry, because it always brings me to this point where I said, oh, man, how on earth? How did I get there? We were in touch with an NGO called Colibri. Colibri is a hummingbird from Mexico. Now, what happened there was Mexican, trying to move to the States, obviously via the wall or whatever. And for me, it doesn't matter. What mattered was that they never found these children that were moving to the United States. All they found was shoes.
Ugh.
Okay, now I'm a son of Holocaust survivors. And the fact that you find only shoes took me to that point where I said, come on, we live in year 2000 something. You find only shoes. I mean, what's going on there? And so how could we help? How can we bring this Tikkun Olam? Okay. So
before you go on, we have not told our listeners what Tikkun Olam means. Why is that? Is Hebrew saying, how is that a guiding force in what you do?
Okay, Tikkun Olam is a whole philosophy of how you take responsibility of this present. Okay, how do you bring back? How do you make sure it's like you leave it better than you received it? How do you make sure that it's okay? I mean, you have a responsibility. Not only you didn't hurt it, because once you're here, you're using stuff, but then you have to give back at least double the amount, okay? So you have to plant trees, a lot of trees. Plant trees, give back. A human consumes 40 trees in his life
Yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
About.
I
So
love
plant
trees.
1,000. I planted 5,000 to the date. I think so, around. So it's not something to brag about. It's like, this is what you do, okay? Period. And you tell others to do so. And you don't tell them, okay, here's the thing. You walk that talk and the followers will follow.
Right. You
You,
bring
you don't
attention.
preach, you show an example. It's not about the opinion you give, it's about the actions.
Yeah. And you also said that ego is humanity's disease.
Oh, definitely.
How can you elaborate on that for us?
We're full of ourselves. I mean, we think
That's
we
so true.
invented everything, we own everything, we're not humble. We don't understand that we're just visitors for a very short time. We're nothing like
A blip.
a blip, a piece of dust in this whole endless whatever it is here. And we never take the time and, to contemplate on this. How come am I here? And here I am sipping my sparkling water and complaining that water wasn't warm in the shower. Come on. So, gratitude but we're stubborn. Like we still have our ego and we think we deserve.
We have a right. That brings me to my biggest bugaboo in the environmental morass that we're in, and that is the use of plastics, single-use plastic. I mean, I keep talking about our tour, but everywhere we were, it was plastic water bottles, plastic water bottles. We were in Nazareth, we were in Bethlehem, we were in everywhere. And many places it was much worse than the others, just trash on the street and so much plastic. So what do you think the hope is for plastic?
First of all, I'm ashamed. And, we had our late great Prime Minister, Mrs. Golda Meir.
Oh, yeah.
You remember
I
Golda
do.
Meir in the 70s. She said that pessimism is a luxury a Jew cannot afford himself. That was way, way back. And I said pessimism is a luxury you, a human being, you cannot afford yourself. So I can't afford myself, being pessimistic. I think that somewhere down the road, technology, education, law, something will evolve and maybe we'll have something instead of plastics. And till then, we have to act. We have to educate. We have to do something. I've worked on this issue for ages. I must say it's coming back. It's moving.
It's moving.
Okay? So maybe I won't see it in my lifetime, but I'm pretty much sure that it'll change because slowly by slowly, something will happen. I think technology will prevail on this one. But till then, we have to educate. What can I say?
How many children do you have?
3.
Yeah. And what I love about children, Gen Z, I just found out that the one younger than Gen Z is Gen Alpha, but they're so bold. They don't care. They'll talk about mental wellness. They talk about what they need. And they know the future, the planet is their home in the future. So wake up and do something. We think of
Right.
Greta Thunberg and whatever, if I'm saying her name right.
Right.
So I do think education is the key. Now,
But I don't want to leave the burden on them. Okay, here's the thing. Everyone says, the next generation will fix it. No, we broke it. We fix it. We have to bring this planet for them like as clean and as fixed as possible. And then they'll do the other things. But you can't say, it's the same concept of someone else will clean it, I don't like it. I don't want anyone else to clean for me. When I take the cup, I don't feel comfortable with the waitress taking it. I don't like it. I don't want to be served. Okay, I don't like this. I want to do it by myself, not because you understand me.
I do understand. And also, we should serve others because it does make you happier and life better. There's a quote in one of your articles, the one about swimming from southern U.S. to Mexico. And one of the swimmers said, the idea of this swim is that there are no limits, no borders between human beings. And I remember when I was in the Dead Sea, there was like a rope barrier, and you hear the whistle of the lifeguard.
Of the
go,
lifeguard, don't
"Get
go
away,"
beyond.
because it's Jordan. And I'm like, well, I love Jordan. I had a great time there. And it's the same with, people who live in Mexico are very proud of their country. There's some magical things about it. So I just think this swim, because there is no line in the water. You've gone too far, right?
Wow, when we crossed, it was a very interesting swim because what happened there was we flew 30 hours and a few hours later we're already swimming.
Ugh.
And I told the kids on the Mexican side, it was ever so emotional. I can't even think without get choked. Because to arrange it, I had to get in touch with the Navy, the American, and the Mexican.
Of course.
And I had to get in touch with, passports. We spoke about passports.
Yeah.
So I had to to bring the passport to the Mexican side because we had no passport. We are just swimmers. Mm-hmm. Okay? And somewhere in the middle, so the Navy, the American Navy had to stop and the Mexican escorted us. And the surfers from the US had to stop and the surfers from the Mexico. And only the swimmers continued to swim. And I was like, like seagulls, we continue to swim. And somewhere in the middle, we posted this nice quote of Mother Teresa that I alone cannot make a change, but I can cast a stone to make ripples. And that was, and the magic was cast. And then when we reached the Mexican shores, and there were like 300 Mexican kids waiting for us. Now, what on earth, these 12, and why 12? You know why 12 swimmers?
Well, the apostles, I would say, but go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. The 12 apostles and the 12 tribes. And before that swim, I drove to Jerusalem and I bought crosses, 12 crosses. And I gave each and every swimmer, I said, look, put it in your swimsuit. And when we reach the Mexican side, you give it to the kid. Ugh. And now just imagine the impact. So the Mexican guy who never saw someone swimming all the way to him and giving him this cross, all the way from Terra Santa, from the Holy Land, saying, listen, I know about you. I read about you.
I care
about you. It's not the distance I swim, it's the distance I flew to tell you this in person.
That you matter.
That you matter. Yeah, and these are the simple things. And I bought also a big cross for the church, for the pastor. And how come? Why? And people ask, why do you do so? I don't know.
Okay, speaking of do, what can we learn from you, Oded? What can we do? What can our listeners do to help? They can't all jump in the Dead Sea and swim 7 hours. Someone probably wish they could. But what
don't try it at home.
Okay. What can we do to help?
First of all, be aware. And because it's just, the Dead Sea is just, it's something that is happening here, but you have it near your home. It happens all over, okay? That's a world pandemic. Water sources are running out of water. It's depleting. So first of all, be aware that there's a problem. Second, that you can make a change. I wasn't born an activist. I wasn't born I don't know what I was born. I was born to care, and I pay attention. So once you pay attention, you already are in the phase that you understand that you are part. Okay? And once you understand you are part, so pick that damn thing from the floor and put it in the bin. And you already have contributed. Okay, so close that tap of water. Close it.
How
because
about when people brush their teeth? They just let it run. I turn it off.
Why don't you close it? Do you know where the water is coming from?
No.
Do you know where the water is going to? Do you know the water is magic? Do you know that? Do you know that it's a present? And you cannot and you shall not misuse water? It's such a modest request.
Yeah.
Okay, so people, once they're aware, that's where they change their mindset and they understand that, okay, so now I'm aware. So now I think I can do something with it. And as for the Dead Sea, there's so many things. Look, I never saved a sea. This is my first time to save a sea, and I will. This mission shall prevail. Join in, contribute. Whatever you do in life, I think you can help. Whether you're a art director, whether you are an artist, whether you're a sportsman, whether you are a designer, whether you are a VC, whether you are you have a restaurant, whether I don't know. You know how you want to contribute. You want to fund this. You want to be part of a project. You want to build a hotel here. You want to do a kayaking. You want to eventually this thing that I'm building, this NGO, will need funding. Definitely, we need to build a movement of millions of people, preferably, but thousands is good enough once you have these people that are eager and they understand they can, because it's doable. It's simple. If you understand it, you can, then there is no border, period. We reached the moon. It's like, we've done everything. We're competent and we're capable. It's just us preventing ourselves to move forward. And we need bold, interesting, innovative, creative, out of the box, outstanding, positive, optimistic people to say, you know what? I want to be part of it. I don't know where we're going, but it seems like a very interesting journey and we want to be part of it.
All right. Well, we're in Tel Aviv, Oded. So I think all of us should memorize Tikkun Olam.
Yeah.
Tikkun Olam, because we live here. We have a responsibility.
Right.
So thanks for being such a great example in Israel for us. So
Thank you for hosting.
Remember it when we go wherever we live. Okay?
Wow. Thank you, Kim. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And opportunity.